Hi, welcome to this video. Today we will go through 14 points on what has worked in my life and brought me the results that I have of running a six-figure company and also saving a ton of that money and becoming financially independent. And since it's a new year, I thought it would be great for myself to analyze these things, what has really worked, so what I can double down on in the future. And if you would like, you could do the same. Take these ideas and experiment with yourself and see how they work for you. So number one is sending thank you cards and gifts to influential people. This point is something that has really enabled me to meet people that are otherwise very difficult to get to. And sending a thank you card or a gift to an influential person can be a really effective way of getting in touch with them. It can be more effective if you have met them in person first. Maybe you've seen them in one event when they speak, for example, or met them somewhere. And then you should really make an effort to introduce yourself. And after that conversation, you should send them a thank you card or a small gift of appreciation. Because if you make this a habit, that can really help you in the future with having multiple influential people who want to help you, who want to give you some service or to help you in return. So for me, that has been one of the investments with the highest return on investments, because they have enabled collaborations and associations with really powerful brands that are otherwise extremely difficult to get to. So this one is, I put this at the top of the list because it's really effective and really powerful. Number two is copy what other successful people are doing. And this is a really powerful one. And for me, what has worked best is I see someone in action doing something. Maybe it can be a friend or an acquaintance, and I see they are doing something. And then it's much easier for me to do the same and copy what they're doing, and then I will have some equal results. Because it's so easy that we fall into the thinking, if I just keep doing what I'm doing, eventually that will lead to a great result in the future. But that is really a faulty way of thinking. It's much smarter to look at someone who is really successful in one area, copy what they're doing, and the chances of us seeing a similar result will go up much, much higher than if we just continue to do what we always did. One example is I saw one person when I was in my 20s who she was really a successful salesperson, and that gave me the courage and the idea to get into sales and to learn how to communicate better and learn how to sell, and that became a really important cornerstone for running my own business. So a note to self is that if we want to see results faster, we should experiment less and focus more on copying shamelessly what other successful people are doing. So number three is explore new trends before other people are doing that and ride that wave. So because most people are really slow to adapt to change. So if we can identify a trend early on and become an expert in that and adjust to this trend, we can do that before everyone else is jumping on, and we can really ride this wave and have a huge tailwind of success in front of us. So one example of this is in my early 20s. This was way back. So this was really in the early days of social media, around 2009. This was way before people were posting videos on social media. And I heard about one harmonica player. One of my friends told me that he was marketing his music. He was getting gigs by posting videos where he was playing online. And I said to myself, that is genius. I will focus on this. This is what I will do. So I started really early on with video and posting videos and posting on YouTube. Long before other people were doing that, and offering courses online already back in 2014, for example, way before that became big, and got experience in something before other people started doing it. And that was really a great way, and that helped me to later build my six-figure company. Number four is become extremely knowledgeable within one field and learn everything there is to know about this. Learn much more than other people are knowing about this, so that you can teach others. So this is something that I did with singing, for example, that I focused really on the best teachers, seeing what were they doing, what techniques were they using, how can I emulate them, and started to teach similar methods. And just by doing that, I got a much better result than average teachers. And I've applied this to other things as well. For example, the last couple of years, I've been really focusing on studying Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, some of the best investors in the world, and learning about economy and investing and how this world works. So whatever we want to investigate and whatever we want to learn, we should become extremely knowledgeable in that field so that we can teach it to others. So number 5 is maximize capital gains rather than earned income. And this can work a little bit different in different countries, but the basis is that if you have earned income, you pay a higher tax rate than if you pay capital gains. So logically, that means that we should try to build up our net worth and seeing gains on that capital rather than just trying to have earned income all our life. So for example, in my company, I focused a lot on minimizing taking out a salary, saving that money in the company, reinvesting that in, for example, paid advertising and so on, that brings in new revenue. And this can really make you pay lower taxes rather than if you would take out all the profits in as a salary. And this is one incentive that the governments have put in place because they want people to start businesses. So they want people to be able to do these things. And they want to have kind of a carrot so that people want to start a business and make investments and grow that business. Because if that happens, if we have a society where we have many flourishing businesses, that society will also flourish. So number 6 is being employed and having a normal job is okay in periods if we learn during that period, and we can also use that time to test out new ideas. So for example, when I worked in sales in my 20s, that was enormously helpful to learn how to communicate, how to sell, which I later could use when running my own business. Also, when I worked some time as a voice coach in a school, I noticed that the students really loved the way I was teaching, and I noticed how different my ideas were from the other teachers. So then I said to myself, maybe I could do this on a larger scale. Maybe I could teach more people. So in that sense, I could use that time, have a salary at the same time, shape and test my ideas, forming a concept which I later could bring out into the world. So number 7 is learn from the best, even if their advice costs 10 times more than average advice. In my experience, top coaches, top teachers, and the best advisors, they usually teach methods that are controversial. And sometimes they're even opposite to what an average coach would teach. And we really want to make sure to have this to get an edge. Because with an average coach, we maybe need, be coached for 1 or 2 years. But even if we only take 1 or 2 sessions with an excellent coach, that could mean that we get more results, better results than 2 years of coaching with an average coach. So that is really time saver. That is a huge time saver, and that can really set us apart faster. So for example, when teaching singing, I focused a lot on learning the methods that the best teachers in the world were using and teaching these methods, because in that way I could help the students much more than if I was teaching the same way that everyone was doing. When I took lessons in accounting, I made sure to have an extremely competent teacher because she knew more and was more accurate and more knowledgeable than average teachers. So number 8, when an opportunity presents itself and opens up, you should go all in. This is something that I have done on multiple occasions. For example, if there's an opportunity to meet one person, for example, I have taken that opportunity, and that has, for example, opened up many new opportunities, and that enabled me to run my 6-figure company, for example. So for example, there was one collaboration when I was doing videos for another YouTube channel, and there was one person that I wanted to reach, a really influential person in the music industry, and there was about 50% chance that he was going to show up, and I hired a camera guy for $500, which was a lot to me at the time. And I showed up there not knowing if he would show up. So I paid that price and I went there, prepared everything, and then he showed up, and that enabled me later to run my own six-figure company. So sometimes when these opportunities opens up, we cannot sit around and wait. We need to act fast, decisive, and take that opportunity. And that is something that really is important to do. For example, Warren Buffett, he says that we only get a few opportunities in life, maybe a handful of great opportunities in life. And when they open up, we should really act decisive and make most of them. Another example of this is online paid advertising, when that was really big. And I saw that opportunity and I really focused all my attention on that and making that work. And that was a huge thing that helped me to scale up my company and save a ton of that money, because these opportunities will not be open forever. This window will only be open for a very short time period. So it's important that if we identify an opportunity like this, that we really grasp it. Number 9, own attractive assets. This is something that the wealthy focus on. They want to focus on controlling and owning attractive assets. It can be companies or things that other people find attractive. So for example, if you see one asset that's priced 1/10 of its market value, you should really buy that one, because in my experience, owning attractive assets has always paid off. It's a great way to multiply your net worth. You know, for example, Warren Buffett, he has focused on building up a portfolio of great companies, and he has done that for 60 years when building Berkshire Hathaway. And that has made him, if he would not have donated money, he would have been the wealthiest person in the world. It's like some of the most wealthy and influential families here in Sweden, Wallenberg. They focus on owning companies that will produce income for them for the next 50 years, so that they can remain their position in society. So we could adopt a similar method of thinking by owning attractive assets. It could be houses or apartments that increase in value. It could be shares of businesses, held privately owned businesses, or stocks, for example. Number 10, capital is more valuable than a pension. What I mean by that is I bet more on myself allocating my capital, running my own business, rather than betting only on the pension system that exists in Sweden. So this is something that many people think differently about. Some people maximize how much they contribute to their pension savings and taking out a huge salary. The negative side effect of this is that then you will be taxed really heavily early on and you will have less capital to work with. So I think it's wiser to bet on myself and to say that I will invest this money myself. I would rather have privately held investments that are bigger and in my company, for example, rather than betting on the pension system. This is difficult to say how that will play out in the future. So according to my analysis, where there are fewer babies born now than in the last 300 years, so the rate of babies being born in Sweden now are the lowest of 300 years. And a large part of people's pensions now are being funded by income from working tax. And this might work well now, but in the future, if the population of Sweden would be much, much lower, then those numbers wouldn't make sense. So that's why I don't think the pension system in the future will be so great. So number 11 is move like the water. Don't be rigid, but be flexible. Close down unprofitable projects and move on. Most people hate change and want to stick with their ideas and don't want to try out new things and don't want to change. But if we can be more flexible than other people and adapt faster, that can really help us. So that's something we need to aspire to be. And sometimes if we notice that something isn't working, we should close that down and move on, because we will still have learned valuable skills and the lesson will be valuable from that experience. So we don't come out of that experience empty-handed. We have valuable resources that we bring with us. One example of this is the company that I'm having right now is my third company. Before that, I have 2 failed companies. And I learned really valuable lessons during those that I bring with me into this one. So, but if we notice that they are not working, we can absolutely just close them down and move on to something new. Because if we stick with something for a really long time, like 10, 20 years, just because we don't want to, we want to really keep our pride and we don't want to admit that we were wrong, that is really a waste of time. So if we notice that something isn't working, we should switch and move on. So number 12, large increase in net worth can come from paid advertising with a short turnover cycle, meaning that you invest that money and you get back that money plus profit fast, which you can then reinvest back into advertising. And if you can do this in a closed system, meaning that you don't take out a huge salary or no salary at all during that time, so that you can keep all of that money compounding within that company, that is a much more effective way of growing your net worth and building capital, rather than simply investing passively in index funds, which might give you 7 to 10% per year, but this might give you 100% per month or 100% in 1 or 2 weeks. So I know now that advertising is much more expensive, and when there's a recession in Sweden, less people are buying, so it's not so effectively now. But during the market boom and when prices of advertising was low, this was really an effective way of building your net worth. Number 13 is a little bit similar as the last one, but a business model where you can create 100% return on investment, for example, in 1 week, with a short turnover cycle, meaning that you reinvest the money, you get the money back fast, plus additional profit, which you then reinvest back into advertising. And you don't take out any salary or minimize salary takeouts, so that you can reinvest that money within the company, and then that pie just grows. This is extremely powerful because you're making an investment that is tax deductible. That investment into advertising is 100% tax deductible, meaning it's an expense for the business, but it ends up as an income. It ends up as revenue. It ends up as sales the next month. And that is really a powerful model of growing that pie, growing your net worth fast. So number 14 is creating photo evidence, either a picture or video, from when you do seemingly impossible things with influential people. For example, if you meet an influential person at an event, for example, make sure to take a photo when you hang out, when you meet them. Have your friend take a photo when you shake their hand or something. You see, collaborations with powerful, influential people, that has really been a huge game changer for me. And posting that video material online, that helps to bring so much more business and new opportunities for you, because that brings immediate trust. So that is really something both I should double down on and that you should double down on too. And I cannot tell how many times I have hung out with really influential people where I forgot to do this, or I felt it would be awkward to ask to take a photo with them or something. But I regret it now after that I did not do it. So because that was really valuable moments. So in every time you get the opportunity, you should definitely do this, because that can really take you years ahead in 1 or 2 weeks time. So you should really do that. So once again, this is the 14 most effective ways how I built my 6-figure company, how I set aside a ton of that money to become financially independent, and what I should double down on in the future. Maybe you can take 1 or 2 of these ideas or all of them, and maybe that helps you too. Thank you for watching. See you next week.